New heated footage between Pat McAfee and Triple H is going viral, and it's raising a lot of questions. The video reportedly shows a tense backstage confrontation between the two, and the moment being caught on camera has only fueled the speculation around their relationship. Now that the footage has leaked, many fans believe their issues run much deeper than anyone previously thought. So in this video, we're going to break down what really happened between Pat McAfee and Triple H, how this backstage dispute unfolded, and where things between them stand now. The story of Pat McAfee and Triple H getting physical goes back to the summer of 2020. At the time, McAfee was not a WWE commentator. He was not a regular presence on weekly programming. He was a former NFL punter for the Indianapolis Colts, who had transitioned into hosting his own daily talk show. He had appeared on some NXT Takeover pre-shows as an analyst, and that was about the extent of his involvement with WWE at that point. The whole situation started when Adam Cole appeared as a guest on McAfee's podcast on July 23, 2020. During the interview, Cole became frustrated with McAfee for saying that the Undisputed Era was the reason for Cole's success, and that Cole would not have achieved everything he had on his own, because he was a small guy. This caused Cole to eventually curse out McAfee, break his microphone, push one of McAfee's friends, and storm out of the interview. Now, that whole segment was part of a storyline, but it was presented in a way that blurred the line between what was real and what was part of the show. It caught people off guard. Fans did not know what to make of it. Triple H appeared on McAfee's podcast a few days later to invite him to come to an episode of NXT to talk things out with Cole. That is where things took a turn nobody expected. McAfee appeared on the August 5th, 2120 episode of NXT in an angle with Adam Cole where they seemingly made up for their beef over the last few months. However, later in the night, as McAfee was a guest commentator in a tag team match between Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly of the Undisputed Era and Fabian Aichner and Marcel Barthel of Imperium, Cole noticed McAfee at the commentary table and began to insult and attack McAfee, resulting in McAfee punting Cole's head. That punt was the moment that changed everything. McAfee, a former NFL punter, used his actual football skills to kick Adam Cole in the skull and knock him out cold. And then it happened. Triple H shoved McAfee several times and tossed him out of the building. That is the footage. That is the moment that has been circulating and going viral. Triple H, the man who runs WWE Creative, physically putting his hands on Pat McAfee and ejecting him from the premises. McAfee himself talked about it. He said, "Triple H pushed me pretty hard at that NXT arena, didn't he? He did, didn't he? That first push was like, okay, he's trying to back me up. The second push was like, excuse me, pal." McAfee went on to say he was not sure how to feel about it. He acknowledged that deep down, Triple H might have been thinking, if this guy falls down on his AI, I'm completely okay with it. The confrontation between McAfee and Cole on NXT was chaotic. McAfee had become more heelish as the show went on, insulting Cole and causing Beth Phoenix to walk off commentary after she didn't like what McAfee was saying. Cole then confronted McAfee about what he was saying and told McAfee that he needed to chill out. McAfee and Cole were then separated by officials, including Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Cole lunged after McAfee on the announce table, and as they were being separated, McAfee got enough space to punt Cole in the head, knocking him out. That is what led to Triple H getting physical with McAfee. It was not a calm conversation. It was not a stern talking to. It was a shove, multiple shoves, and then McAfee was out of the building. McAfee later addressed it on his show saying, "Obviously last Wednesday night something happened in NXT that I did not expect to happen, that I did not know was going to happen. That frankly is out of my character a little bit. But there's only so many times that I could be disrespected. The stage was set for something bigger, and that is exactly what happened next." After the confrontation at NXT, Triple H challenged McAfee to a match on behalf of Cole at NXT Takeover XXX, which McAfee accepted. Think about that. Triple H, the man who had just physically shoved McAfee out of the building, was now offering him a chance to settle things in the ring. Even though McAfee did not have any prior wrestling experience, he still accepted the challenge. McAfee was a former NFL All-Pro punter. He was an athlete, sure, but stepping into a wrestling ring against Adam Cole, one of the best technical wrestlers on the NXT roster, was a different proposition. Wrestling is not football. The bumps are real. The physicality is real. And McAfee had never done it before on the level that was being asked of him. In August 2020, Pat McAfee shocked the world by defying expectations in his match with Adam Cole. As it turns out, McAfee had even planned on hitting the independent scene before that match. He was that committed to making it work. He was not treating this as a joke or a one-off celebrity appearance. He wanted to be prepared. At NXT Takeover XXX, McAfee stepped into the ring for the first time. The two wrestlers' groups of friends got into a shoving match, while McAfee went to the top rope and executed a swanton bomb. A swanton bomb in his first match. That is not something you see from someone with zero experience. Eventually, Adam Cole caught McAfee as he tried a tomahawk chop off the top rope and ended the match with his finisher. McAfee took the match seriously and showed good athleticism and wrestling prowess. McAfee suffered a defeat at the hands of Adam Cole, but he impressed one and all with his terrific skills, and Triple H had nothing but high praise for both of them. The same man who had shoved McAfee out of the building was now singing his praises. After this, McAfee did not disappear. He returned to NXT on October 21, 2020, interfering in an NXT Tag Team Championship match between Breezango and Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, resulting in Burch and Lorcan winning the NXT Tag Team Championships and aligning with McAfee, in which all three turned heel. McAfee went from being shoved out of the building to running his own faction on NXT. That is a trajectory nobody saw coming. At NXT Takeover War Games 2020, Team McAfee, consisting of McAfee, Dunn, Lorcan, and Burch, took on the Undisputed Era in a War Games match. McAfee hit a senton from the top of the cage onto the other competitors, but in the end, his team was defeated. The man jumped off a cage in his second match, with no formal wrestling training, a senton from the top of the War Games structure. That is the kind of thing that makes people sit up and take notice. And what about McAfee's feelings toward Triple H through all of this? According to Pat McAfee, he would like to battle Triple H if he stepped inside the ring again. That confrontation at NXT left a mark on him. The shove stuck with him. He wanted a match with the game. The whole situation between McAfee and Triple H, the physicality, the challenge, the debut match, the faction, it all came from one moment where the lines between kayfabe and reality got blurred. And the footage of that shove is the reason people are still talking about it. It was raw. It was intense. And it launched Pat McAfee's entire WWE in-ring career. But McAfee was not done making waves in WWE. Not by a long shot. Once McAfee moved to the main roster, things accelerated. On April 16, 2021, WWE announced that McAfee had been moved to the Smackdown brand as a color commentator alongside Michael Cole. This was a significant step. He went from NXT troublemaker to one of the voices of SmackDown. But before that partnership could even get started on WrestleMania weekend, McAfee almost walked out of WWE entirely. And this time it was not Triple H who was involved. It was Michael Cole. The incident occurred ahead of WrestleMania, in which McAfee was set to guest host the event's pre-show. Everybody at WrestleMania is in tuxedos and ties and the whole 9 yards, and Pat shows up in shorts. Now they were tuxedo shorts, but he shows up in shorts. Michael Cole did not take it well, Cole recalled. And I'm like, in front of everybody, which is my bad. What the fuck are you doing, Pat? Dude, you're in fucking shorts, it's WrestleMania. The altercation happened in front of Vince and Stephanie McMahon, and several others backstage, which led McAfee to storm off. McAfee went back to the locker room and started packing his bag to leave. He told Cole, "You just embarrassed me in front of everybody in this company." And Cole admitted he never thought of it that way. But McAfee was right. McAfee was ready to leave. Done. He was about to walk out of WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year, over shorts. But from McAfee's perspective, it was not about the shorts. It was about respect. McAfee said, "Who the fuck are you talking to right now?" Like almost I was about to fight Michael Cole. Stephanie McMahon interjected, pointing out that Cole had embarrassed McAfee in front of so many of his wrestling idols. Someone presented a photo of NBA legend LeBron James, wearing a similar outfit to a formal occasion, and McAfee was able to complete his job on the day of WrestleMania. Michael Cole then had to walk in and tell McAfee that the shorts were okay. They showed Vince the shorts, and Vince was great about it, asking why Cole was yelling at McAfee. Ever since then, Cole said that moment brought them closer together, and they have been best friends since. Despite that rocky beginning, the commentary partnership between McAfee and Cole became one of the most beloved in recent WWE history. McAfee brought the best out of his commentary partner, with their real-life friendship visible on screen. And then came WrestleMania 38. On March 3rd, 2022, Vince McMahon was a guest on Pat's podcast, where he told Pat he would receive a match at WrestleMania 38. It was later revealed on SmackDown that McMahon's protege, Austin Theory, would be Pat's opponent. In his WrestleMania in-ring debut, SmackDown announcer Pat McAfee defeated Austin Theory on Night 2 of WrestleMania 38. Mr. McMahon, unhappy at Theory's defeat, decided to take off his suit and get back into the ring one last time. Taking on Pat McAfee in an impromptu match at WrestleMania 38, Vince punted a football at McAfee and pinned him for the victory. After the match, Stone Cold Steve Austin came to the ring. To deliver a stunner to both Theory and McMahon, McAfee would celebrate with the Texas Rattlesnake by drinking cans of beer with him, before being hit by a stunner as well. That match against Vince McMahon stands as a historic footnote. McAfee's match against McMahon stands as the final contest of Vince McMahon's career. Think about that. Pat McAfee, the guy who almost quit over shorts, the guy who got shoved out of NXT by Triple H, was the last person to have an official match with Vince McMahon. McAfee kept going after that. His next on-screen feud was with Baron Corbin, and he defeated Corbin at SummerSlam. Then at WrestleMania 39, Pat McAfee emerged for a surprise appearance before squashing The Miz in a matter of minutes. The trajectory from Triple H shoving him to headlining WrestleMania segments is something that does not happen to most people. McAfee made the most of every opportunity thrown his way, including the opportunities that started with a physical confrontation. As the years went on, the relationship between McAfee and Triple H evolved significantly. The man who shoved McAfee out of a building eventually became one of his biggest supporters. Triple H described commentator Pat McAfee as the face of WWE to a lot of people during an episode of the new season of WWE Unreal on Netflix. Triple H heaped plenty of praise on his main roster talent during the second season of the show. Triple H explained what Pat McAfee brings to the table that nobody else can bring, saying, he brings Pat McAfee, right? Pat has this amazing ability to do the storytelling, to stay on point, be completely off the cuff, be funny, be serious, be all those things. That is a far cry from shoving someone out of a building. Triple H went from physically ejecting McAfee to calling him the face of the company. That evolution is significant. With Triple H operating as Chief Content Officer, Michael Cole has been allowed to spread his wings and be himself on WWE programming. And that freedom extended to McAfee as well. Under Triple H's creative leadership, McAfee was given the latitude to be himself on camera, and the results spoke for themselves. In 2024, McAfee once again returned at Royal Rumble as a surprise guest commentator and surprise entrant at number 22 in the Men's Royal Rumble match. McAfee quickly exited the ring and eliminated himself. McAfee would later claim that he was unaware ahead of the event that he would be a participant. 2 days later, McAfee made his full-time return to WWE on Raw as part of the new commentary team with Michael Cole. Then came Backlash 2025. At Backlash 2025, Gunther faced Raw color commentator Pat McAfee in a singles match. The ring general emerged victorious after making McAfee pass out in a sleeper hold. Behind the scenes, something interesting happened during the planning for that match. During the production meeting for the match between Gunther and McAfee, Triple H discussed how McAfee could have won, after which the ring general could have gone on a dominant run. Triple H considered letting McAfee beat Gunther. Let that sink in. However, Jonathan Beckstrom, the VP of WWE Creative, interjected and pointed out how odd it would have been if the former World Heavyweight Champion lost to Raw's color commentator after claiming he was more focused than ever. In the end, the creative team decided to have Gunther win, and he went on to become World Champion for a second time by defeating Jey Uso on the June 9th episode of Raw. That is the level of investment Triple H had in McAfee. He was willing to have the color commentator beat a former world champion at a premium live event. That does not happen unless there is trust and respect between the people making the decisions and the performer in the ring. But then came the Burnout. WWE color commentator and former NFL kicker Pat McAfee announced that he would be stepping away from the broadcast desk after experiencing burnout due to his multiple responsibilities in the sports media world. Between the Pat McAfee Show, his work with ESPN, and various football commitments, his schedule had become increasingly demanding. McAfee even acknowledged burnout, which led to his abrupt departure from WWE Raw commentary, well before the start of the 2025 college football season. At the time, his expanding media responsibilities required constant travel while still balancing weekly WWE appearances. For a while, no one had a clue why he suddenly stepped away from the biggest wrestling promotion in the world. But now, McAfee finally opened up about the real reason. He was so mentally drained, he failed to continue with the hectic schedule. In June 2025, McAfee announced that he would be taking another hiatus from commentating. However, McAfee did make a one-off return at WrestlePalooza in September. The man who Triple H called the face of WWE was stepping away from the product. Not because of creative differences, not because of a dispute with management, because of exhaustion. McAfee was doing too much. Running his daily show, working ESPN's College Game Day, appearing on WWE Raw every week, and occasionally stepping into the ring. Something had to give. And what gave was WWE. The final chapter of this story, at least for now, is the most significant. As of March 2026, Pat McAfee has essentially said he is done with WWE. Not in an angry way, not in a dramatic way, but in a way that carries weight. In each of the past 3 years, McAfee has returned to WWE in January after football season ends. But we are into March of 2026 and still no sign of Pat Mac. As we near 9 months since McAfee officially went on hiatus from WWE, and 6 months since the September run for WrestlePalooza in his home city of Indianapolis, McAfee took to his Instagram story on Sunday to answer a fan wondering when McAfee might be back ringside. In a short video, McAfee stated he does not expect to return anytime soon, and said pro wrestling had passed him by. His words were direct. McAfee said, "Will I be returning to the WWE in the future? I don't think you ever say never, especially with the WWE. But right now, it does not feel like it is something that's supposed to happen. It feels like that business has kind of passed me by a little bit. I grew up loving it, dreamed to work in it, feel honored that I had the opportunity to work alongside the GOAT Michael Cole. But I feel like WWE is in a good spot without me, and I'll continue to watch." That is a statement loaded with finality, not anger, not bitterness. Just a man who appears to have made peace with the fact that this chapter of his life is closing. Vince Russo claimed that Pat McAfee has walked away from the promotion simply because he does not need the money, saying, "Guys at this level, who don't need their money, these guys will walk away at any time." But there is more to it than that. Jonathan Coachman claimed that the promotion was using and abusing Pat McAfee by having WWE stars appear on his show all the time. He also noted that the company never gives announcers a high salary. Coachman said that he also has some inside information that they would go on the road and would not offer to cover certain things, adding, "The least that you can do is pay production costs. That is the least you can do, but they also have never paid announcers a big salary." That paints a different picture. McAfee was not just burned out. According to Coachman, the relationship was not balanced. WWE was getting a lot out of McAfee, access to his audience, his platform, his crossover appeal, without necessarily compensating him in a way that reflected his value. The usual WWE Raw commentary team these days is Michael Cole and Corey Graves. Smackdown is called by Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett. The show has moved on. The desk has been filled. McAfee's absence has not created a void that WWE cannot manage. McAfee has been heavily involved at Wrestlemania throughout the past 4 years, whether it be in a commentary or in-ring capacity, but due to his latest comments, it remains to be seen if he will make an appearance at this year's event. McAfee and his wife are expecting their second child this year, and McAfee will make the leap to even more scripted television with a planned 4-episode run. On Paramount Plus's Taylor Sheridan-created Sylvester Stallone-starring action dramedy, Tulsa King. Life is moving on for McAfee. He is expanding into acting. His family is growing. The Pat McAfee Show continues on ESPN. College Game Day continues every fall. WWE was one piece of a very large puzzle, and right now that piece does not fit. And yet, that footage of Triple H shoving McAfee out of the NXT building in 2020 is still making rounds. It is still going viral, because it represents the beginning of something that, for a few years, was one of the most unexpected and compelling stories in WWE. A former NFL punter walked into a wrestling show, got kicked out by the boss, and then became someone the boss called the face of the company. Despite the uncertainty, McAfee delivered his comments with his usual optimism, and made it clear he remains a fan of the company. For that reason, it is unlikely we have seen the last of McAfee in WWE. However, in the immediate future, it does not appear fans should expect to see him regularly behind the announce desk or in the ring. As we saw last fall, there is no guessing when McAfee might pop up for a guest spot. The WWE world is notoriously welcoming of old fan favorites. The story of Pat McAfee and Triple H is a story that went from a heated physical confrontation on live television to a deep professional respect that led to McAfee becoming one of the most recognizable figures in wrestling. And now, McAfee has stepped away, not with anger, but with gratitude. That footage of Triple H shoving McAfee is still out there, still going viral. And as long as people keep watching it, they will keep asking, how did the guy who got thrown out of the building end up being called the face of WWE? The answer is simple. He earned it every step of the way.